So thank you again for joining me today for this part 3 series of detox. And the focus today is on detoxification, acceptance, and forgiveness, all the way from our mind to our cellular biology and our cellular function. So today I want to offer an in-depth exploration of this connection between detox and acceptance and really what it means. And when you look at some elements of open heart medicine as they relate to the process, and we'll explore this experience of detoxification, acceptance, and forgiveness as an experience in space and time from a meditation point of view, and its somatic effect on us. So I have a little bit of an ambitious agenda for today. So to start, I want us to connect to ourselves, to connect to our body, to connect to our being, to connect to our heart. So you can just sit still for a moment, feel the connection between your sitting bones and your chair, and just let your body completely relax. Feel the diaphragm more relaxedly coming downwards, and the air coming to the bottom of your lungs more easily. And you can take 3 deep, slow inhalations and exhalations. Feeling the quality of the inhalation and what it does to your body, and the quality of the exhalation and what it does to your body. And after the 3rd exhalation, just let your mind expand with your exhalation, and just bring your hands to your heart and connect with your heart. We are getting closer to the transition. Today we start the last 18 days of the spring season, which is a transition between the spring and the summer, between the liver and the heart. So the perfect time to talk about today's topic. So as we try to stay connected with our heart, we can get going with the webinar. And so just a very quick brief summary of what we did so far. We talked about the importance of detoxification, how fundamental it is. We talked that we spend more time detoxifying than anything else, and that exhalation, the letting go by the lungs, is a key element of detoxification, and our exhalation is twice as long as our inhalation. And we talked that the process of detoxification involves us as a whole being, all the way to our organs, to our tissue, to our cellular levels. And within detoxification, we differentiated between discharge, the process of letting go from our cells into our bloodstream, and just imagining there's a camera in your bloodstream watching everything flowing, a release from the hidden unknown to the known, to what we are aware of, and then this is discharge, and then elimination, getting rid of it. And in this sense, we talked last time about the fundamental importance of the liver phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification in packaging the toxins that come to our being, to our attention, that are very unstable and toxic, so we can get rid of them, we can eliminate them. And within it, we also talked about the importance of meditation that can follow the same process. So if we revisit the meditation slides as a starting point, these are the phases of the liver, the phase 1 where things become intermediate, evident, and the phase 2, we are preparing it for elimination. And we talked about the proportion between if too much comes to our awareness and we can't handle it, we get side effects. And this is really expressed in meditation, where when we relax, when we are totally tied and grasping and reactive, and one thought chases another thought, we don't have time to see the space between the thoughts. When we slow down, right, a very simple process we do by following the breath or following a mantra, and then we start recognizing the space between the thoughts, layers that we are not aware of, insights, memories, emotions, traumas come up. And we discussed that meditation is not about what comes up, because each of us has a different package, but it's our relationship with what comes up. And this relationship is the process of discharge, because the different methods of how we react with our experience reflects the different levels of elimination. So it's really important. The discharge is the things coming to the surface. Elimination is the name of the game. It's really about elimination. And the level of elimination will really allow us to navigate our healing on a physical level and our growth on a psycho-spiritual level. Putting the diagram aside, we want to dive into it today with the understanding that the process of meditation is really what transforms detoxification. I can't emphasize it enough. I know from my own experience with my own healing, when deep things came up from my unconscious and they just dissipated and never came back, it wasn't because of the insight that came up, because I tried it with other people and it didn't work. It's the meditation that allowed it to just dissipate away, to just fade away. So meditation is what makes detoxification a tool of completely different magnitude. And this is what I want to start diving into today, including some introduction to very subtle meditation techniques and really unusual highlighting of how they work with our biological processes. So the key point that we started talking about last time is this shift from detox to acceptance and to freedom, which allows for the door of infinite healing potential to open up. And this is really the door to open heart medicine. So if we look back, if you remember the meditation diagram, you see the surfacing of the discharge and the elimination. So there are meditation and spiritual systems that are based on discharge experience. I try to see this kind of light, have this kind of experience, and it's often overemphasized at the expense of elimination. And one of the reasons is that we have a tendency to grasp, to hold to things that are exciting and make something out of them instead of letting go. So a key point, we want to engage in detoxification to create space for change. When we detoxify, meaning we discharge and we eliminate, right? And elimination, it can be through the bowel movements, through the urines, with the skin, through the breath all the time, and of course through our mind and through our perception, through our attitude. So when we detoxify and get rid of something, we create space. So we really have to be capable of letting go of what comes up, of what arises. That's the trick, right? So when it's not done properly from a biomedical perspective, we will get what is called the healing crisis. We'll get side effects. And there are a lot of ways to try to help it. If it's enemas and colonics and IVs and certain herbal mixtures. So you'll do infrared sauna that will allow that will enhance discharge because the cells are letting go into the bloodstream. But then it will also allow elimination because we are sweating through the skin. And a great example of this is therapeutic apheresis. Therapeutic apheresis, we are cleaning the blood, not exchange of plasma when we are throwing everything out, and what we are putting back is really just fluids and proteins. We are letting the body do the work to figure out what it needs. Therapeutic apheresis selectively removes what is not good for us. So when we remove it, we are actually starting with a process of elimination, right? We are eliminating from the blood. And then once we eliminate, the body knows, oh, now I can discharge. So for example, if you do 2 processes of LDL apheresis back to back, 2 days apart, 5 days apart, 1 week apart, you would think that the second time, less stuff will be coming out of the blood and being eliminated, moved by the filter. But that's not the case, because now the body is discharging more. So the more we can let go, the more experiences may come. And so the more we have an ability to eliminate, the more we can handle discharge and create a change. That's very important, especially in diseases where the hidden component is high or the toxicity is high. For example, cancer and cancer post-toxic treatments. We want to make sure that we can eliminate enough before we discharge. And that's why, for example, when you do detoxification in cancer, you do not want to push the discharge. There is enough toxins already visible that you want to make sure that not too much is coming out at once. You want to eliminate enough to let the discharge come afterwards. Let's visit this point that we already discussed a little bit last time. The journey of detox being the movement from detox to transformation to healing. So once we discharge, once things come to our system, so let's say we are using different, we are using different enhancers, and we have some that pushes the cells to let go, like let's say infrared sauna or certain herbs, etc. Then we need to decide, what are we going to do with them? Are we going to hold to them, or are we going to let go? Now, that's a very important point in time. And our ability to navigate between holding and letting go goes through the whole spectrum. So for example, if we have a high level of biochemical and organic toxicity, let's say high level of heavy metals, high level of pesticides, high level of mycotoxins, high level of inflammatory processes because of certain diseases, okay? The body, the cells are in a survival mode on a cellular level in the membrane and in general. And as a survival mode, we will be very reactive. And when we are reactive, there is no letting go. When we are reactive, we fight, or we run away, or we hide. Inflammation or fibrosis. So the moment we let go of something, we start to decrease reactivity. So the purpose of detoxification is to reduce our reactivity. And the classical example for it, and I didn't bring the slide, is cellular metabolism. When the cell feels safe, it produces energy through ATP, right? We talked about it many times. Mitochondrial function is normal, efficient, slow, 36 molecules of ATP from one glucose. We don't create lactic acid. And as we all know, normal metabolic function, normal mitochondrial function is the hallmark of health. And mitochondrial dysfunction is a driving force of pretty much every disease. So that's really an example of being in a place of feeling very safe, very relaxed, where our cell is in a relaxed mode. It's not in a reactive mode. It doesn't push away things so quickly. It doesn't try to grasp them quickly and use them. And it can use a slow metabolic process. So whatever can bring us to this place will qualify the process of detoxification. So it can be a regimen, a supplement, an herb, but it can be even more powerful using our breath, using our somatic awareness, using meditation, using movement, using being in nature and feeling the spaciousness of nature affecting us. All of these allows this process to happen. This shift, this key moment of shifting from detoxification, from phase 1, phase 2, packing everything, sending it out, to acceptance, is a moment of shift from the liver to the heart. And it's interesting, if you look at the liver gallbladder, the gallbladder time is 11 to 1 at night, and the liver time is 1 to 3. If you look at the other side completely, the heart is 11 to 1 p.m., and the small intestine that relates to the heart, like the gallbladder relates to the liver, is 1 to 3. You can see the two opposites. One is detox process inside, and one is acceptance, openness. Detox, it's the darkest point of the day. There is no light. Acceptance, everything is open. It's full of light. So from this sense, detox helps acceptance. It reduces triggers for reactivity. And again, chemical, material toxins, traumas, emotions, mental biases. Now we have to recognize, so the people here who are dealing with such conditions or treat such people, there are diseases where the hallmark is hyperreactivity. The classical one is allergies. Allergies is hyperreactivity. Multiple chemical sensitivity. And the new buzzword, mast cell activation. Mast cell activation is we react to everything. And if you look, people who have experience with it personally or with other people can see the mind element of it, right? You come to somebody with MCA, mast cell activation, they tell you, I'm going to react to this. I need to start a lower dose. How do you know that you're going to react to it? You probably are going to react to it. There may be a chemical or toxic load that is causing it, but you already have the mindset that you're going to react to it. The mindset has affected you all the way to your cellular level, and you're going to react. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So for this person, the most profound detoxification is truly changing the state of mind, is truly taking the fist and turning it around, letting everything release. And there are people, I've met people with the most severe MCA that literally just through this process, through Qigong and meditation, were able to then go into the aisle of all the perfumes in like CVS, which is not the highest quality, and no reaction, where before they had to go in with the respirator. All of this with the work of the mind. So that's why we have to understand when we talk about meditation, it's not a theoretical, esoteric thing that is separate from our health. It's what drives our health, because our mind drives our health, because our mind drives our reality. This reality is an expression of the perception of the mind. So acceptance is a big shift. And in this sense, elimination is the process of eliminating something that is toxic to us. So when we look at the span, and last time we touched it, you look at the more fundamentalist type people who are into detox, where they have their definition of what's toxic for them is very high. I can't eat gluten, I can't eat milk products, I can't eat this, I can't eat if it's in the temperature, I can't eat in this color, I can't eat this spice, I can't eat in this dish. It's all toxic to me. So this person has to eliminate all the time, to push away. And pushing away, antidoting, which is really the main treatment for mast cell activation, and it's often necessary, using antihistamines, that's the lowest level of meditation. That's changing black with white or white with black. That's just antidoting. There is no true healing. There is no true acceptance. There is a delineation between toxic and not toxic, and then we push it away. Where we can move to acceptance, it will start igniting a letting go process. And this is true elimination. Okay. Everything is eliminated by being acceptable. So if we accept everything, everything is good for us, no biases, there is nothing to eliminate. Now, this acceptance is not only mental, rational acceptance. There is a whole other deeper level that comes later in our physiology. It doesn't come when the blood just comes to the heart and the heart accepts it. It comes as the expression and radiance of the heart that recognizes the complete freedom that the essence of everything is the same. You know, you can, from a Judeo-Christian perspective, you can say it's the divine within us. I would write right now for people who know, follow the Bible, it will say, we were made in the image of God. So it's this quality that is in each of us, this even, equal quality in everything that is perfect to begin with from a philosophical, spiritual perspective, used a lot in Buddhism. So in this sense, that's the ultimate acceptance. That's the ultimate freedom. That's the door to infinite healing potential. That's the ripening of open heart medicine. But it's a process. So as we move to this process, from a practical point of view, we can start eating foods that we were not able to tolerate before. We're able to stay in a wider range of temperatures. We're able to accept different opinions, different cultures, different points of view. And as we do it, as we become less reactive, it doesn't mean that we say, oh, yes to things that are terrible. The other way around, our discrimination, our discriminative wisdom becomes much sharper because it's not involved, it's not driven by reactivity. It's driven by openness. What happened when it happened in our body all the way to our cells? The cells relax. A cancer cell turns into a normal cell. An autoimmune cell stops fighting other cells. And then within it, we have to be aware if we are loaded with physical, chemical toxins, they won't let it happen. We do need to get rid of them. And that's the beauty of integration. So moving from discharge to freedom is at the root of infinite possibilities. So I want to go back to this liver to heart movement. So we talked that every cell takes what it wants and discharges what it doesn't want. We talked about it many times. I don't want to take the time today. And the heart just accepts everything. The heart accepts everything that any of the cells doesn't want. But this boils down to very practical methodology all the way to the level of supplement and herbs. So some of this is not commonly taught in traditional Chinese medicine, but it's part of the more esoteric traditional Chinese medicine. There are specific herbs that serve this connection between the cells. So the herb that is involved in the connection between the liver and the heart and protects the heart in this transition is danshen, Salvia miltirosa. It's a very common herb used in Chinese medicine. So it's really interesting to look at the traditional properties of the herb. And again, you won't find this interpretation, of course, in the text. It requires this more deep understanding and contemplation to realize that it's there, you know? So if we look at this herb, every herb in Chinese medicine has a temperature property. So danshen is slightly cold and it's bitter. Bitter taste has a certain properties of cleansing, and the slightly cold means it has an anti-inflammatory property. It cools down the blood. It cools down inflammation. And if we look at the research about Danshen, about Salvia multirosa, it's known for reducing inflammation. It's known for promoting circulation. And in fact, at least in 20, 30 years ago, it was given in the emergency room in China in injection or IV for people who came into the emergency room with heart attack, with myocardial infarction. It will literally help to open the circulation. When we look at the channels that Danshen is involved with, the channels, the energy channels that it affects, they are the heart and the pericardium from the heart perspective. The heart here referring more to the physical heart, and the pericardium to the covering of the heart. So often in 5 elements Chinese medicine, the pericardium relates more to emotional stuff. So you can see how Danshen affects both of them, and it also opens to the liver. So you can see the liver to heart movement, and it's part of a layer. The pericardium and liver are part of one of the 6 layers of penetration of cold diseases. So this is a whole system from called the Shanghan Lun from the 1st century that relates to the penetration of cold diseases, from a cold, a regular cold, how it penetrates into the body until it can really get very deep and causes chronic disease and our life. And the deepest level, the 6th level, is called Jueyin. And the Jueyin includes the pericardium and the liver, and it meets right here in a conception vessel, REN 18. So just goes above the heart. So you can see how this connection gets us to the depths, to the deepest place where everything becomes equal, where everything becomes acceptable. So I just thought it's so beautiful to look at this process. When we accept, when we move to the heart will move the blood into the lungs. And when the heart moves the blood into the lungs, and the lungs lets go during the exhalation process, it allows for a process of forgiveness. Because what is forgiveness? Forgiveness requires a process of acceptance. If we are reactive, we can't accept and we can't forgive. And once we accept and we completely let go, there is forgiveness. And I will go to it a little bit later on. So the herb that protects the lungs in the process of detoxification, so Danshen protects the liver-heart relationship in the process of detoxification, in this movement from the liver to the heart. Because remember, the liver is a big factory for detoxification and regeneration. It releases the blood. The dirty blood goes to the heart. It's a lot for the heart to handle. Danshen supports it. There is an herb that supports the movement from the heart to the lung. And this herb is called Spica prunelia, Siakutsao. Now, it's very interesting to look at the properties of this herb. And before we look at its quality, we want to look at some of the processes. So in order to forgive, we have to let go. What is the opposite of letting go? Is holding. And what happens when we hold very strong? We create a nodule. We create a loop of energy. So Siakutsao is traditionally used to dissolve nodules in the neck, in the thyroid, in this part, in the upper part. And it doesn't open into the lungs. It opens into the liver and gallbladder. It's cold in nature. And the liver and gallbladder are the ones that hold. The liver and gallbladder are the ones who actually creates the emotional reaction that doesn't let us let go. So if we look again at Siakutsao, it's bitter, but it's also spicy. The spicy taste relates to the lungs. It's cold. It's not slightly cold. It's cold. It's really anti-inflammatory. It really cools it down. And it opens to the liver and the gallbladder. And its main actions, traditionally, it clears liver fire. It brightens the eyes because it removes this very intense reaction. Now, when do we get really red? When our face gets really red, except if it's very hot outside, when we get very upset, when we get very angry. And it's used to dissolve nodules and masses. Flame fire accumulation, which means fire, this intensity that anger and resentment create, especially anger, that dries the fluids and create hardness. And it clears heat and disperses stagnation. So it disperses the stuckness that we have in the body, which breathing helps, of course, on a low level. So if we look back, forgiveness usually entails letting go of anger, frustration, and resentment. If we let go of the anger and frustration and resentment about something, we are ready to let it go. So the anger, frustration, resentment are the quality of the spring, of the wood element. We move into the open, the love, the compassion of the heart in the summer, and then we can let go and forgive in the fall. And so it's so fascinating that in the more esoteric Chinese medicine, based on the Nanjing, the Book of Difficult Questions, there are specific herbs that address it. So the interesting thing is, when we look at the research on Xiakutsao, on Spica pronelia, despite the fact that it opens into the liver and the lungs, it's used to treat lung cancer. It's used to treat this process of intensity of heat and aggressive energy affecting the lungs. And from the 5-element points of view, for people who know it, this is through the reverse control cycle, which is a very destructive cycle, going backwards without a filter. The liver projecting its anger into the lungs and burning it up. So it's interesting for me that I was reflecting in the past where I still had a big, busy clinic. Now the clinic is more scaled down and more individual, one-to-one with me. We used to do very, very active detoxification protocols. And I used to prepare for the every detox, and it's different for the spring and the fall, a special tincture or herbal formula that had the different herbs that will protect the processes of detoxification so we don't get stuck. And I write about these phases in my book, The Survival Paradox, if recommend to read it. So now that we talked about it and we use some very practical herbal examples to show you how it's actually practical, I want to go back to the heart and shift to meditation. And I've talked a lot about Tonglin, and many of you have done it with me. And Tonglin is the meditation of exchanging suffering with love and compassion. It's a very common, it's a key meditation of the Mahayana path, of the path of the Bodhisattva, that takes other people's suffering and exchanges them in return love, compassion, and healing, and we use it as a healing tool. And open heart medicine uses this and adds 2 other layers that are not known, that I feel I was fortunate to get an insight, a transmission about them quite a few years ago, that relates to the inner and secret Tonglin that I more teach on retreat, at least at this point, and haven't taught yet in English, actually. So I still have to get enough people trained enough to really do it. But I want to look at the Tonglin a little bit in the context of what we talked about. So when we take in suffering, there is an act of acceptance, because the suffering of others or the negative emotions of others, they are adversely affecting us. We react to them. It's natural. When we take them in with an open heart, with acceptance, there's a natural process of acceptance. This acceptance is an exchange with love and compassion. So if we do Tonglin automatically, and there is no true acceptance, true listening, the depth of our love, compassion, and healing energy going out is not as deep. So the more we can accept, and the more we can accept in a deeper level, the more we have the ability to forgive, to generate love and compassion, and to generate healing. And if we take it into the depth of our being, as we generate the love, compassion, and healing, as it goes out, it transverses through every cell in our body. And we have a process of self-healing that happens with the recognition that there is no separation between the outside and the inside. And this topic really relates to something called the depth of experience of the reality, which is a whole different topic that requires more a webinar in the context of a lot of preparatory teachings. So I want to offer today, I can't teach the stuff of the inner universal secret Tonglin, definitely not in half an hour on our webinar. It's taught more in a retreat environment, at least for now, but I want to offer you a taste of the subtleties in meditation as it relates to what we talked about today. Because if we become aware of it, then our breathing process becomes an ongoing process of exchanging suffering through acceptance and forgiveness into love and compassion. And we know meditation on compassion has the biggest effect on us. Meditation on compassion are the ones that creates the biggest effect on our brain based on MRIs and MRAs and functional MRIs. They have the biggest effect from a healing point of view, especially when done in community. And when we connect with others through an open heart, there is a sense of community, even if you're sitting on your own. So within it, I want to we're going to a little bit explore the experience of inhalation and exhalation and the spaces between them. So it's going to be a little bit of a quick meditation with a lot of subtleties. And don't worry if you lose me with some of this. We will send this link out, so you can hear it again. So we are really doing this meditation in the context of detoxification process. So you can sit with your back straight. And just feel the connection between the sitting bone and the chair or the cushion that you're sitting in. Let your whole basis expand. And from there, from the perineal area between the genitalia and the anus, there's a certain flexibility and your spine rises all the way to the top. Your chin a little bit inside. Tucked in, so the back of the neck is long, your shoulders are relaxed, your hand either wrapping around your knees or one hand inside the heart. And we'll do one round of clearing the breath. We inhale, visualizing white light coming in, and we exhale, visualizing gray, black color coming out. We take one more deep breath. And we exhale. When you exhale, you just let go. Let go and open up completely. And we briefly prepared our body and our breathing, our speech. We prepare our mind by giving rise to the understanding, by accepting the truth that every living being wants to be happy. And every living being experiences difficulties. It's part of our existence. It's part of our grasping. It's part of our survival response. It's part of our reactivity. And we open our heart to ourselves and to others. And from the perspective of today's meditation, you feel the opening from a general meditation point of view, and you feel the opening within your body, all the way to your intercellular space. Everything becomes spacious, less sticky. And very briefly, just to ground ourselves, we're going to pick a point below your eye level, and you're going to thrust your gaze into this point and exhale to the point and inhale from it and focus on it. Very quick, calm meditation with support. And you bring your gaze to your eye level. And you open yourself to all visual sensations that come from the front and from your right and behind and from your left and from above and below. And you just open yourself to all sensations, visual sensations, sounds, smells, tactile sensation, taste, completely open. With every exhalation, there is a letting go. And with this short meditation, we now are going to dive a little deeper into certain aspect of our breathing and what it does. So you pay more attention to your breathing. And feel what's happening during the inhalation and what's happening during the exhalation. What happens to your mind when you inhale and what happens when you exhale? Feel the nourishment of the inhalation and the letting go of the exhalation. And by being aware, the process deepens. And pay attention to your relationship with your experience. For most of us, we will be observing the experience, the breath. We will be mindful of it. Mindfulness, per definition, entails separation between the observer and what is being observed, outwardly and inwardly. And as such, it is limited. The observer and what's being observed has never been separate. So you are the observation. You are the inhalation. You are the exhalation. And feel how it a little bit changes your perception. You are in it without holding to it. And now when you inhale, feel what it does to your body. Feel how it's going to every cell in your body. You can hold for a second after the inhalation and feel the nourishment and transformation all the way to the cellular level. And when you exhale, feel the letting go. Let the letting go penetrate to every part of your body. And over time, if you practice it, you will notice certain areas in the body that are blocked, that you will not be able to feel it as well. And that's the value of opening these blockages with meditation, with healing, with breathing, with block therapy, what Diana Hansen does, melting these adhesions, adhesions of the mind that lead the adhesions of the body. But all the doors qualify. So now we feel the somatic part of exhalation and inhalation. And we let go. And as you inhale and exhale, you now are going to pay attention to the gap between the two. Feel what happens in the gap between the inhalation and exhalation. So you do a few cycles of breath where your focus is on the gap specifically after the inhalation and before the exhalation. And you can feel the transformative effect and the nourishing effect, right? It's quite remarkable. Suddenly part of the body are waking up. Now you shift the focus to the space between the exhalation and inhalation. And the trick to doing it is you let go, you drop with the exhalation. And then you just completely let go and rest in this space. The place of ultimate acceptance, ultimate freedom, where there is nothing to forgive. The place from where everything arises. And for those fortunate to have this door authentically open, this space of openness remains regardless of the breathing, regardless of the thinking. That's the secret to freedom and to infinite healing. And you can let go and just relax. Just feel the effects. And you shift your focus to your heart. You say hello to your heart. You bring your hands to your heart. And you feel the warmth of the heart. So now we are shifting from lung breathing to heart breathing. As you inhale to the heart, you are receiving the exhalation from all the organs of the body, your dirty blood. And see the place of receiving. See if there is any reactivity, any resistance. Connect with the quality of acceptance of the heart. This is the real secret of the heart. And now again, pay attention to the gap between the inhalation and exhalation. And you can experience the transformative quality that happens in the lung. CO2 being released and oxygen being absorbed. You literally feel that when you relax into this acceptance and the connection from the heart to the lungs, you get this sense of openness in the lungs. And you can feel this gap between the inhalation and exhalation in the same time in every cell in your body, going through the same process. This is how we change our membrane receptors. This is how we allow the cells to handle things that they couldn't handle before, leading to normalization of our mitochondrial function. And we let go. Can bring our heads down and still connect with our heart. And we bring our focus to the exhalation process, the letting go. Feel the letting go in the lungs and this place of freedom, nothing to hold. And how this place, this gap, is present everywhere in your body. And when the heart is involved with this gap, when this gap comes from the heart, if you need, you can put your hands back. There is a natural quality of forgiveness. There is a natural quality of responsiveness with love, compassion, instead of with reactivity. Letting go is forgiveness. There is nothing to forgive when everything is let go of. And we just stay in this amazing place of inside, of letting go and of healing. And people who have health challenges can use this space to send this healing energy to different organs in the body, to different places in the body. And we can slowly bring our hands down. Just relax. Relax with a sense of gratitude. Gratitude for our opportunity to heal, and gratitude for the opportunity to share this with others. Through our meditation, through our intention, we are all connected. So, thank you for bearing with me. Today, really, we had a taste of a deeper meaning of detox, acceptance, and forgiveness. And showing you how it goes from mind, from the most subtle aspect. This is just an example, right? It's in a few minutes. Imagine you explode one element of it for 2 weeks in a strict retreat. That's what we used to do in the 90s when there was no internet. We would go on retreat. I would go on retreat for weeks and explore a certain sentence for weeks. There is an endless depth that happens, an endless potential for healing. And today we just saw how it goes across from mind to breathing to somatization to herbal to very sophisticated herbal medicine. You know, it's interesting when we look at Danshin, it's salvia, and how it affects circulation from the point of view of detoxification and acceptance and creating a change in healing. You can understand why it is the first ingredient in addition to nattokinase that I formulated in Circotol, you know. And I can share it. I no longer am involved with Econogenic as an owner. So you can see the sophistication behind the formulation that is not easy to express when you just see it on the label. That's really the wisdom. That's really what integrative holistic medicine can offer. And it's easily lost, I'm concerned today, in the ocean of details and technology. So I wish we had a few weeks together. If maybe one day we can be in a place where we can take a month and do a retreat together, and I know anything and everything will be possible. Anything can be healed in such an environment. So today I just offered a taste, which I feel inclined and excited to share. I have a feeling that either some kind of a docu-series or a very unique book will come out of this. And we also have daily meditations now that have a lot of these elements, not like today's necessarily, although we'll probably add today's meditation to the list. But twice a day, we broadcast a different meditation every day, 5 days a week. So you can come into these times and we'll share with you the link. And the idea is that we create a community of people meditating together in different parts of the world. So it's free. Take an opportunity of, please take an opportunity. And I want to invite anyone who is considering to join me in Hawaii, where we're going to be in the transitional time between the summer and the fall, between opening our heart and letting go. And I probably will not have such a retreat, almost definitely in 2026. So that's why I hinted last time. If you're considering doing it, that's the time. And otherwise, you know, thank you all for coming and listening. And I hope it was useful for all of you. So stay healthy and realize that detoxification is just a door for an open heart. It's not getting rid of things that are bad for us. It is, but it's a small part of it.